My wife and I had the opportunity to meet in glorious the San Joaquin Valley in Stockton about a year and a half ago. And we were at a Republican luncheon, a barbecue, and the speaker was a gentleman by the name of Brian Johnston. I have to tell you, I have not forgotten the opportunity to meet this gentleman. I have not forgotten the words that he had, and it seemed truly appropriate to bring Brian to the VAC at this particular time. Before I do that, Brian had a foreword in the Ronald Reagan Abortion and the Conscience of a Nation. This is available. And he wrote a book called Death as a Salesman, What's Wrong with Assisted Suicide. Those books are over here if you'd like to make a donation of $10 per book. Brian would certainly appreciate that. That compensates him a little bit for lugging the box around, but he would also be really honored to be able to sign the book for you. So those are two really good resources that you could leave with today. You know, Brian currently serves as the Western Regional Director for the National Right to Life Committee. He is the Executive Director of the California ProLife Council. He's been a California Commissioner on Aging, served on the California State Board of Nursing Home Examiners and the Board of Directors of the National Legal Center for the Medically Dependent and Disabled. This is a man who has compassion, and he puts his money where his mouth is, and he steps up and serves. Spent more than 20 years as an advocate for the medically vulnerable. He's a frequent spokesperson on the threat of assisted suicide. He's appeared on Fox News, CNN, World News Tonight, PBS NewsHour, and a number of other programs. He resides in Sacramento. This is a real opportunity for us to kind of drill down and figure out how we're going to deal as Christians in our community. And so without further ado, I'd really like to bring my friend Brian Johnston. Brian, please, come on up.
Ideas have consequences, and we are involved in a battle of ideas. This battle rages around us even as we speak. And in this battle, it is not mere metaphor to say lives are at stake. So what I'm going to do here today, we don't have a lot of time. I'm going to cover the waterfront. I'm going to talk about ideas. I don't want to get too heady, though. Bring me down to earth if I get too far afield. I want to share those ideas, though, because they are an essential predicate of what you and I have inherited. We are, in fact, a nation of ideas. Larry knows that I'm first-generation American. My folks came here from Ireland, and they were both 30 when they came here. And I was the first one born here. I want to see how many years ago. My folks have passed now, but a few years ago, I guess it was the 70s, my dad, just in passing, said something to me which I thought was significant. Something you should know, first of all, is that the Irish, like every other immigrant community, usually during the first generation, stays very much tied with fellow immigrants from whatever nation they came from. And we were the same. So we were around a lot of Irish events, a lot of Irish friends. This is in the Los Angeles basin. And so I was stunned when my dad said to me, you know, I'm not an Irish American. He said, I'm an American who happened to have come from Ireland. That's significant. And it's very important for us to realize that we are different than every other nation on earth. That American exceptionalism is not based on the wonderful geography. It's not based on the wonderful cultural goodies that we have and the financial benefits that we have. All of those are there. Our exceptionalism is based on the fact that you live in the first nation in the history of mankind to come into existence and to have as one of its principal roles, as that government came into existence, its principal roles were limited, and most importantly, one of its principal purposes was to limit itself. Unheard of in the history of humanity. Unheard of. Throughout history, when nations were birthed, when governments came into action, their goal, of course, was to build themselves up, to have great strength and power, to protect those, obviously, that were under their shield, but to do that with strength, and that's a notable thing. I'm going to talk about the significance of who you are as an American and the history and lineage that's been handed to you in this world of ideas and in this battle that you are now in. We're going to cover the waterfront, so be patient with me. I will share some cartoons. We're going to have lots of fun, and there will be a quiz after. No. Larry, thank you very much for that introduction. One of the things I want you to know, these books, by the way, are the proceeds, again, they're donations, if you'd like to give donations, and the proceeds are going to be shared with VAC and with the California ProLife Council, the state affiliate of the National Right to Life Committee. So, feel free, if you get them, that you're helping. It's going further than that. Okay, my friends, wow. I have a couple of key ideas I want to hit on first, and I'm going to come back to what we can do about it. The very first idea is this idea of the right to life. And I think it's very important that we understand, that we have a common understanding of what the right to life is and how on earth we're going to restore it. There's some confusion out there amongst our own about the right to life. And if you haven't seen it, you will. One of the first confused, or confused maybe isn't a good word because it seems pejorative, it seems negative. Let me put it this way. Some people embrace the right to life, but they don't have clarity as to what it truly is. One of those examples is the notion that this is a religious idea. Now, I want you to know I'm a man of faith. I'm not going to tell you my doctrines, but I believe the Bible, and I believe in God, and I know that I'm not Him. But the right to life, well, complemented and supported by our faith, is not a religious idea. It's not my religious principle, even though I as a Christian am deeply morally offended at the violation of the right to life. I am personally morally outraged. But this debate is not about my moral outrage. This is a very important distinction. Very important. Please understand it. It's crucial that you understand that. It's not about us. If I was to wake up tomorrow after that drive back to Sacramento and dealing with what I have to deal with there, and then wake up in the morning and call Larry and say, Larry, I went to bed last night. Boy, I thought about this a lot. And you know what? Larry, I think we're wrong. I think we're wrong. I actually have changed my mind. I believe that, we're like the Taliban. I believe we're pushing our religious views on others. And you know what, Larry? I don't believe in the right to life. I don't believe this is any of our business. I don't believe we should be doing this. You know what Larry would say to me? I hope Larry would say this. Brian, I don't care what you believe. This isn't about what you believe. If you make this debate about what you believe, you are guaranteeing that you are not getting beyond that to the much, much bigger issues. If this is about your subjective feelings and your subjective interpretation of Scripture only, then you have, in fact, lost before you've begun. This is about something much bigger than our theology. It's about something much bigger than our personal predilections or inclinations. This is about something that, in fact, hopefully Larry would say, you know, Brian, I think you've lost it. I don't care what you believe. And in fact, you know he'd be right, because it isn't because I believe that that child has a beating heart 45 days after conception. Very often the mother doesn't even know she's pregnant. It isn't because I believe that heart is beating. It doesn't matter what I believe about that. It's an objective fact. That's objective truth. That's objectively provable. That's known and understood. It isn't my belief that allows those brain waves to be measured 60 days after conception. Doesn't matter whether I believe it or not. It isn't my belief that's at stake here. Those are measurable facts. That's objectively true. These are true things that if we make the mistake of not realizing the facts are on our side, and facts are terrible things to waste. If we make this about our personal beliefs, we have set off on the wrong foot, my friends. We have set up on the wrong foot. Now, it's good to have that motivation. I must tell you that in all that I do, in word or in deed, I am motivated by my love for God. It's not because of me, it's God, because God loves me. So I'm not talking about your motivation. I'm not talking about what powers you and why you're involved. But think of it this way. If you don't understand what the right to life is, you won't understand where we need to go. And it's like driving around. And I did get lost, by the way, coming here. But I had my handy iPhone and was able to come back. If you're going somewhere and you don't know what the destination is, just getting in the car won't get you there. Just getting in the car will not get you to your destination. And sometimes I think there's a lot of folks who are getting in the car and driving. Yeah, I believe in the right to life. I'm going to drive around. Yeah, but where are you going? What is our goal? What is our goal? What's our destination? It's the same argument I have with the folks up the freeway, up 880 at Berkeley. They call themselves progressives. Oh, okay, well, let's hear what you have to say. Because if you're truly a progressive, what I want to know is, where are you going? What is your destination? Because that's the only way to measure progress. If I know I'm going to Stockton, if I drive up 101, I'm not making progress. I'm going places. I feel good. I'm burning up gas. I'm wasting very, very precious time. But that's not progress unless you know your destination. You cannot say you are progressing towards it. We must know and understand these ideas which we are espousing. We must know what they are and pursue them with understanding. So this is not about my faith. It's not about my faith. Though that's my motivate. It's like your motor in your car. Okay? Going to Stockton is not about the motor in your car, but you have to have a motor. Okay? But there's a difference between your motivation and your destination. And very often, we, generically speaking, tend to confuse our motivation with the destination of restoring the right to life. So that's something you need to be aware of. It's a temptation all of us are susceptible to not make those important distinctions. And making distinctions is at the very heart of learning and moving forward. So we must make those distinctions. I'm going to talk about what the right to life is in a second. There's one other thing it's not, though. That's very common. It's very common to think the right to life is about babies. And I love babies. We've had 5. We've actually had a miscarriage as well. But something you will find, and this is interesting to me, I like to use, by the way, pictures of living babies. I think it's very important to use pictures of living babies. Personally, I'll speak personally right now, I don't use pictures of aborted babies. I don't use them. There's many reasons. I don't have time to get into that particular discussion. I use them very, very incisively only after I've established much more